Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandabhat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Sarashishi Mat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again, millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Sarashishi Mat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all our Rupa Nuga Guru Vargya, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams. So yesterday was quite a short day. We just visited Kusum Sarovar and a few places on the way north from our Giridhari Gaudiya Math. But today we're going to take the road out via Varshana, and then we're going to go on to Nandagaon or Nandagram. And we're going to visit many, many places around Nandagram. So we're not doing a lot of bus time, but we're doing a lot of PARIKRAMA time today. Because around Nandagram itself there are hundreds of different wonderful, inspirational places to go and visit. Previously, as I've said in other recordings, we would camp in Kamyavan, we would camp in Varshana, and we would camp in Nandagaon. One year I can remember we walked, the whole party walked from Varshana to Nandagram. We put our baggage on the bus and we walked that distance. When you walk from Varshana to Nandagaon, the first place you come to is Pavana-sarovara, and then a little further on is Sanket. That distance is about 7 kilometers from Varshana to Nandagaon. It's not very long. It's the length of the Vrindavan PARIKRAMA practically. So it's not very long. So I'm going to read quite a bit today from the VRAJA-MANDAL PARIKRAMA book because Gurudev encapsulates everything very clearly. And I'll just intersperse it with a few comments or just trying to open things out a little bit more. So I'll just mention all the places that we're going to see, but not in the same order. Well, I can say the order. We're going to go first to Nanda-bhavana, and we're going to take darshan first of Krishna's home on the hill of Nandishwara. Nandi is Shivji's bull. So this Nandishwara, the controller of Nandi, that is Shivji. So he took birth as that hill for Krishna's home, Krishna's palace, to be built upon it. So we'll discuss all this, but we'll go there first because the darshans, they close around about midday-ish. So we'll take our darshan in the early morning hours, and then we'll visit Terkadamba, Aishishva Mahadev, Pavana-sarovara, Carana-pahadi, Lalita-kunda, Uddhava Kyari, Nanda-bhavana, and on the way back we'll visit Sanket and Pavana-sarovara. We won't go there at the beginning, we'll go on the way back. So today also is Gopastami. This is the day when Krishna took the cows out grazing. Prior to this, he'd taken just the calves grazing. So this Gopastami, Gurudev describes actually both Gopastamis, when Krishna took the calves and when Krishna took the cows, both took place from Nandagaon. And I've explained previously how the village of Braj, or the residents of Vrindavan, resided in Gokul at the time of Krishna's birth. And then later on, due to the demons, Putana, Trinavrata, Shakatasura, Vatsasura, was so much harassing the villagers, the Brijvasis, that they had a meeting and they decided to move. And they travelled across the Jamuna through the forest of Vrindavan. They camped at Chatikara. Chatikara means a circle of wagons. So at each place, of course, because they would have thousands of cows, they would have to graze their cows as they moved along. And then from Chatikara, they came in the proximity of Govardhan, and then they circumambulated Govardhan, and then Rishabhana Maharaj settled in Varshana, and Nanda-baba settled close by in Nandagaon, which is basically in what we would call Greater Kamyavan. It's the forest of Kamyavan principally. Close by, just to the north, is the forest of Kokilvan, and to the east of Nandagaon is the forest of Kadirvan. But we are really in the forest of Kamyavan today, or on the border of Kamyavan. So we'll be visiting all these places, and we'll discuss different pastimes in each place. But I'll begin by reading Gurudev's description of Nandagaon. So Gurudev writes in the Parikrama book, the VRAJA-MANDAL Parikrama book, the royal palace of Nanda Maharaj, the king of Braj, is situated in Nandagaon. This village is a source of happiness because Sri Nanda Rai, Nanda Maharaj, Upananda, Abhinanda, Sunanda, and Nandanandan all lived here. Nandagaon is situated 16 miles north-west of Govardhan, 8 miles south of Koshi, and 28 miles west of Vrindavan. 28 miles from Nandagaon to the township of Vrindavan today. The parikrama of Nandagaon is 4 miles. There are 56 ponds related to Sri Krishna's various pastimes here, and it takes about 3 or 4 days to have darshan of them all. So like I just described, we would camp there with our party previously, and we would visit so many of these places during the day, and then in the evening we would have our Harikatha and discuss again all the sweetness and specialities of Nandagaon. Each place we come to, like Varshana, Nandagaon, Kamyavan, each has a Gokul, each has its tremendous speciality, its unique nature. It's all part of the tapestry that Krishna or Yoga Maya arranged for the pleasure of Krishna, constantly fresh and constantly newer, different types of pastimes, with this beautiful, changing, ever-changing, increasingly beautiful backdrop of Braj. So Gurudev describes that Devadi Deva Mahadev Sankar Shivji pleased his worshipable deity Sri Krishna and asked for the boon to have darshan of Sri Krishna's childhood pastimes. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna ordered him to situate himself in Nandagaon in the form of a hill. Sri Shankar Mahadev followed this order and became Nandishwara hill. He then waited for the arrival of his worshipable deity. To fulfill the desire of his exalted Vaishnava, Sri Shankar, Sri Krishna performed his sweet childhood, Balya, and boyhood, Poganda pastimes on Nandishwar hill, along with the Brijabasis like Nanda-baba, Yashoda Mai, and his Gopa friends. So I've described that the birth of Krishna, of course, was in Gokul, and Krishna stayed there till he was about 2.5, 3 years old, perhaps 3.5 years old. And then he performed the second part of his Balya Leela in this area of Nandagaon, because the Balya Leela goes up until the age of 5. So there was still another 18 months that he was performing those childhood pastimes after he left Gokul. Gurudev writes, at the end of Dwarpa Yuga there lived a sage named Devamida. He had 2 wives, one from a Kshatriya family and the other from a Gopa family. Surya Sen was born from the Kshatriya wife and Parjanya Gopa from his Gopa wife. Vasudeva and other Kshatriya sons were born from Surya Sen. Parjanya Gopa maintained his life by agriculture and rearing cows. He lived near Nandishwar hill with his wife Varishyasi Gopi. So we can see what an amazing situation it is that Krishna literally has two fathers, one for his Dwarka pastimes, Vasudeva, and one for his Vrindavan pastimes, Nanda-baba. And they are both related to each other. They have the same grandfather. And it just demonstrates the extensive amount of family members that made up Krishna's family. As I said previously, everybody in Braj is related to Krishna. They all are his uncle or second uncle or third uncle or grandfather, etc., etc., aunts and uncles. Just all of them are related to him. So they feel very much a natural bonding with Krishna. So now in this Parikrama book, there's a very clear diagram to show the family lineage, describing Parjanya and his two brothers, Urjanya and Rajanya. So, and then their wives and their children, etc., who of course are all, as I just said, related to Krishna. And then Krishna is coming from Nanda-baba, as we know. So there's a small description in the Radha, Gurudev's Radha Krishna Ganadesh Deepika about Parjanya, because Parjanya is like the grandfather in Krishna's Leela in Braj, and he's most respected personality. And it's described that Krishna's paternal and maternal grandfathers, the Brahmanas and other such elders, are worshipful to him. The name of Sri Krishna's paternal grandfather is Parjanya, and Parjanya means cloud, because he showers torrents of auspicious nectar. His bodily complexion resembles molten gold, and both his hair and clothing are of white color. Grandfather Sri Parjanya is the object of veneration to all in Braj. In bygone times, Sri Parjanya lived in the area of Nandishwara. He wished to beget illustrious offspring. So following the instructions of Devarshi Narad, he worshipped Sri Narayan, the husband of Lakshmi Dev. After performing austerities for a long time, Parjanya Maharaj heard a most pleasant divine voice from the heights of the sky. The voice said, "O Parjanya, 5 sons will be born to you as a result of your most excellent austerities. The best of them will be the middle one. He will be famous by the name Nanda. The son of this Nanda will be victorious in the entire world and bestow joy to the land of Braj. Both the demigods and the demons will worship his lotus feet, with jewels decorating their heads." With a happy heart, Sri Parjanya resided in the area of Sri Nandishwara for some time, but when he heard about the Keshi demon's arrival there, he became fearful and moved to Mahavan Gokul with his entire family. So this is the history, that previous to Nanda-baba arriving here with all his family members and Krishna later on. So that was the history prior. So now I'm going to read on here. That Gurudev again repeats this. He says, "Once Devarshi Narad came here and Parjanya Gopa pleased him by offering him appropriate worship. He then requested Narad to bless him with excellent progeny. Narad initiated him into the Lakshmi Narayan mantra and informed him, by meditating upon this mantra, you will have illustrious progeny. When Narad left, Parjanya Gopa set about repeating this mantra in his mind. Daily he would meditate upon it, following the proper process after first taking his bath in the nearby Tadaga Tirtha. One day, while he was absorbed in the mantra, a divine voice from the sky announced that he will have these children, as I've already just described. So Gurudev is describing that pastime again. And then in due course of time, 5 sons were born, and 2 daughters were also born to him. And the whole family stayed in Nandishwara for a while, and then they shifted to Mahavan. So I've already described that. Many of Krishna's childhood and boyhood pastimes took place here. It was from here that on Gopastami day, Krishna and Balaram, along with the Sakhas, first went out to graze the calves and after some years the cows. So I've already described that pastime previously, how Mother Yashoda was so intent on not allowing that to happen. But by the influence of all the other Brajabasis, finally Krishna was able to get his way and escape to the forest each day with all his Sakhas to romp and play in the beautiful forests of Vrindavan. And most importantly, he was able to meet with his beloved Sakhis at that time. So now Gurudev is going to describe the Nanda-bhavana itself. So we'll go to there, as I described, we'll go there first. The compound of Nanda-bhavana is immense and holds many delightful pastime places. Sri Raghupati Upadhyaya glorifies Nanda-baba and this compound in very sweet words. He says those who are afraid of the perplexities of worldly life worship the Shrutis and Smritis, and others may worship the Mahabharata. Let them do so. I myself will always worship Nanda-baba, in whose courtyard the Supreme Absolute Truth is crawling here and there on his knees. So all of this is so essential for us to appreciate and to have a clear picture of the reality of Krishna's pastimes. This is why we're coming on Parikrama, so that we can chase away forever all our accumulated impersonal conceptions and replace them with the strong impression of the reality of Krishna's presence in Braj 5,000 years ago. And this will open out the option, the possibility for us to easily access this Raganuga Bhakti that is the gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is so important for us to appreciate all these aspects of Krishna's childhood pastimes, especially in Nandagaon today. Now Gurudev begins to describe about Nanda-bhavana. He says, to the south, adjacent to Nandishwara hill, are a few ruins of the staircases of Nanda-bhavana. Nanda-bhavana, we know, is situated on a hill on Nandishwara, and there are many steps leading up. Today there's about 6 or 7, perhaps 8 different ways you can climb to the top, and some of them are very old staircases that are thousands of years old. So Gurudev is describing this. Nanda's residence here was extensive, with separate bedrooms for everyone, including Nanda-baba, Mother Yashoda, Mother Rohini, Krishna and Baladev. It had a kitchen, storeroom and dining room, and as well as resting rooms and other rooms for Radhika and Krishna. Here, Krishna and Baladev perform many of their childhood, boyhood and youth pastimes. Daily, at forenoon, Srimati Radhika used to come here from Javat with her Sakhis on the zealous and loving requests of Mother Yashoda, and with great delight she would prepare many tasty foodstuffs for Krishna together with Mother Rohini. Krishna used to eat with his Sakhas in the adjacent large dining hall, and then rest in his bedroom, situated 100 steps from the dining hall. Actually, in Gopal Champu, Jiva Goswami practically gives an entire map of Nanda-bhavana with all its many rooms and chambers and dining halls and assembly halls and meeting halls, kitchens, etc. It was a large complex for Krishna to roam around in. It was a very comfortable place there. Today we just see the remnants of that on Nandishwar hill. And now Gurudev continues. He writes about Radhika's resting place. He says, this is Sri Radhika's resting place. We can see this place today. After completing her cooking, Srimati Radhika would, on the request of Mother Yashoda, take prasad mixed with the remnants of Krishna that Dhanishta Sakhi would bring. Mother Yashoda then invited her to take rest in this garden. At that time, the Sakis used to arrange for her secret meetings with Krishna. This place is called Radha Bagh, Radharani's garden. So it was at this time, quite early in the morning, about 7:30, that the first yog pit, or the first meeting, takes place between Radha and Krishna. All the Sakis, all the Manjaris, they go down a secret staircase led by Dhanishta Saki, and they come to Gupta-kunda, which is just behind Vrnda-kunda, and there they have a very beautiful arti ceremony celebrating the joyous union of Radha and Krishna, who are seated on a lotus flower within the center of the lotus, and on all the petals, it's described, are all the Priyanam Sakis and the Paramapreshta Sakis and all the Manjaris, all the Gopis, all the Sakis are all there worshipping Radha and Krishna at their first yoga pit. This is just behind Vrnda-kunda. And then after that, perhaps they pass through Vrnda-kunda and hear from Purnamasi and Vrindadevi about where Krishna will be going that day. Because, of course, Purnamasi and Vrindadevi are arranging and orchestrating everything. So that's just a incidental detail. And Gurudev now is describing the path to the forest. Every day Mother Yashoda used to decorate Ram and Krishna in different ways, thus preparing them to go to the forest to graze the cows. She would send them and the suckers off from here with a heavy heart. So we're remembering this daily pastime of Mother Yashoda preparing the two boys, Ram and Krishna, for their cow grazing pastimes. And then we can see the path where they would go for cow grazing. Of course, each day they would be taking a different path. It wouldn't always be the same. Nanda-baba's goshala is north of Nandishwa Hill. It's just behind Gupta-kunda and Vrnda-kunda. Today you can go to Gupta-kunda and Vrnda-kunda. It's about 2 miles northeast of Nandishwara Hill. And after that, further north, is Nanda-baba's goshala. So the cow grazing pastimes could go from any route, practically, the different pathways to take them to Kokilvan or Kamudvan or Vrindavan itself, or Govardhan generally would often happen. So we can look at these pathways where Krishna would go. Especially we can think of this today, because today is Gopastami, and we can remember this pastime very clearly. And Gurudev is writing, this is the place where Radhika was bidden farewell. Here Mother Yashoda used to put Sri Radhika on her lap before seeing her off to Javat with tearful eyes. Mother Yashoda felt Sri Radhika was like her own daughter. Mother Yashoda held the strong desire that one day Sri Radhika would definitely become her daughter-in-law. And Kirtidar also held that very strong desire that one day beautiful Mother Yashoda's son, Sri Krishna, would become her son-in-law. So this desire was very much present in the Brijbasis. This didn't happen, of course, because of Yogamaya's arrangement. And we'll tell that pastime when we get to Pilipuka in a couple of days' time. So then Gurudev writes about the place where yogurt was churned. We can also see this place. Every day in the early morning, Mother Yashoda used to churn yogurt at this place. To this day, one can see the enormous yogurt pot here. These are all the pastime places in Nandagaon. And then we can also have darshan of Purnamasi's arrival path. Yogamaya Purnamasi used to arrive at Nanda-bhavana along this path and have darshan of baby Krishna every single day, of course. Purnamasi is the Mahant. Yogamaya is two personalities, one tattva, but two personalities, Vrinda Devi and Purnamasi. So Purnamasi is the Mahant of the village, and she would relate with Yashoda and Nanda-baba and all the Gops and Gopas. But Vrinda Devi would principally just be residing in the forest, the goddess of the forest, just relating with the Sakis principally, and sometimes the Sakas. So now Gurudev begins to describe other places at Nandagaon. So some of these today we'll visit with the party, but others we won't have that fortune because of time. But today, on this audio, we can cover a lot more ground because we don't have to walk the distance between each of these places. So we're very fortunate we can just have an abbreviated darshan of all these places. So now we come to Nanda-kunda. Nanda-kunda lies a short distance to the south of Nanda-bhavana. Daily, early in the morning, Nanda Maharaj used to bathe here, chant his regular mantras, and performed his other morning duties. Sometimes he would bring Krishna and Balaram here on his shoulders and bathe them too. In the temple, on the bank of this pond, are attractive deities of Nanda-baba with his children, Krishna and Dauji, sitting on his lap. So this is a very beautiful kund that we can have darshan of today. And then we come to Nanda-baitak. Today I'm just following the order from the PARIKRAMA book, and I think that will be sufficient for us to get a clear picture of darshan of Nandagaon. We'll cover all the areas that the parikrama is going to go on, but we'll follow the order through the parikrama book today. So Nanda-baitak. Brajeshwara Maharaj Nanda would regularly sit here with his elder and younger brothers, as well as the elder gopas, priests and so on, to discuss Krishna's well-being. It is called a baitak because they would sit here together for discussions. Baitana means to sit. Nanda Maharaj has several baitaks in the 84 kroshas of VRAJA-MANDAL. Wherever Nanda-baba used to reside with his cows, gopas, gopis, and others is called Nanda-gokul. And there used to be periodic meetings like this in those places. Thus, other such baitaks include Choti Baitana and Badi Baitana. The following pastime refers to this kind of baitak or assembly. 7-year-old Krishna held Giriraj Govardhan for 7 days on his little finger, and thus smashed the pride of Indra. The astonished elder Gopas called an assembly. Upananda, the eldest brother of Nanda Maharaj, was the chairman of this meeting, to which Nanda-baba had been called. The elderly Gopas expressed their opinion that Sri Krishna was not an ordinary boy. Soon after taking birth, he killed the terrible Rakshasi Putana, as if he was simply playing, they said. Afterwards he killed Shakatasura, Trinavrata, Aghasura, and many other demons. He subdued the terrible snake Kaliya and sent him out of Kaliyadaha. Just a few days ago, he held the huge mountain Giriraj on his little finger for 7 days and saved Braj from the heavy downpour of rain and raging storms. These are not the activities of an ordinary boy. It seems to us that he must be a perfected, liberated soul, a demigod, or Narayan himself. It is not proper for us to consider him to be the son of Nanda and Yashoda, to chastise or threaten him, or to address him with words such as thief, willful, or impertinent. Nanda, Yashoda, and the other Gopas and gopis should always deal with him lovingly and respectfully. All the Gopas present heard this statement with much gravity, and together they cautioned Nanda Maharaj. Nanda-baba laughingly dismissed their words. "Respected gentlemen," he said, "I have heard your statements, but I do not see even the slightest demigod-like symptom in him or any symptom of supreme godliness. I have known him from his very birth. Does Bhagavan feel hunger or thirst? This boy cries 50 times a day for bread and butter. Does Bhagavan steal and tell lies? This boy goes to the homes of the gopis and steals their butter and speaks lies and makes so much mischief. The neighboring gopis play games with him and make him dance for a handful of buttermilk and a laddu. Whoever he is, he has taken birth in our home as our son. Therefore, it is our duty to raise him to become an ideal man of excellent conduct who possesses all good qualities. That said, there is one thing we should remember. At the time of Krishna's name-giving ceremony, Maharishi Gargaracharya predicted that this son of ours would have the qualities like those of Bhagavan Narayan. This explains everything. Assemblies were held to discuss Krishna's well-being, his betrothal, and other such matters. Of course, at that time, after Nanda-baba had explained so clearly this fact, then Yogamaya again would cover the consciousnesses of the Brijbasis to make them just appreciate how Krishna was just their child to be protected by them and was certainly not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gurudev describes in Raghavartman Chandrika how the gopis had heard, for example, from Purnamasi that Krishna is God. And sometimes they would joke about this. They never felt for a single moment that Krishna really is God. But sometimes this conception would entertain their consciousnesses. And Gurudev describes, like if you're boiling 200 liters of milk, occasionally there might be a grass piece that rises to the surface while that's boiling. So this was the way that these Aishwarya conceptions would just rise, but very quickly be totally covered over by the immensity of their Madhurya Prem. The soft hearts of the Brijbasis can never, ever, ever go into that Aishwarya place. It's just not possible for them to do that. The other day we were describing Nanda-baba when he met with Uddhava, and how it appeared that he was thinking some Aishwarya thoughts and referring to Krishna as being a demigod, and how he killed Kamsa, who had the strength of 10,000 elephants, how he killed Kuvalyapida, who was an enormous elephant, just like breaking a stick of sugarcane. So these kind of thoughts arose in his mind because Uddhava was sitting in his house. But immediately this natural Madhurya swamped and drowned these thoughts far away. So the Brijbasis can never at any time move into an Aishwarya conception fully. They may have that thought for a few fleeting moments, but then immediately it's covered over again by their natural Madhurya Prem, which reigns supreme in their hearts eternally. Now Gurudev describes Yashoda-kunda. This pond is situated south of Nanda-bhavana. Mother Yashoda used to daily bathe here. Sometimes she would bring Krishna and Balaram along and joyfully watch their childhood games. After bathing, Mother Yashoda would pray for Krishna's well-being to Nrsingadev in the temple on the bank of this pond. An ancient cave where many great saints have performed sadhana and attained the Supreme Lord lies at a secluded place near this Yashoda-kunda. To this day, this place, where perfected great personalities have performed their bhajan, attracts sadhaks who are completely unattached to married life and come here to perform bhajan. Then there's the place of How Below. On the western bank of Yashoda-kunda is a place where Krishna performed childhood pastimes with his friends. Here the brothers, Krishna and Baladev, became so absorbed in their childhood games that they even forgot to come home to eat. Yashoda Mai first sent Rohini to get them, but as Rohini approached, Krishna and Baladev ran away, frustrating her attempts to catch them. Yashoda then went herself. She would employ various tricks and with great difficulty bring them home, where she bathed and fed them. Sometimes she told them about the How Below goblin, or the ghost goblin, and filled them with fear. She would then catch Krishna in her arms and bring him home. Once Krishna insisted on seeing the How Below. Mai, I want to see the Hawa. The following Brijabasi poem tells this delightful pastime. Do not go far away, my child. The Hawa has come. Krishna smiled and asked Mother who had sent him. So this was the pastime that Gurudev relates at this place. Mother Yashoda is trying to intimidate Krishna by telling him about this ghost, this Haubalau, to frighten him to come home. And Krishna demands to see this ghost. And Mother Yashoda, she describes this ghost to him. Even today, the stone figures of the Haubalau here are a reminder of this sweet childhood pastime. And then Gurudev describes the Madhusudan Kund. This pond is situated south of Nandishwara, near Yashoda Kund, and lies within a grove of trees and creepers that are laden with many kinds of flowers. Here intoxicated bumblebees always buzz around, drinking nectar from the flowers. Krishna plays with the suckers in this forest and imitates the buzzing of the bees. One of the names for bumblebee is Madhusudan, and one of Krishna's names is also Madhusudan. This is where the two Madhusudans buzz, and this pond is therefore called Madhusudan Kund. And Gurudev describes the Carana-pahadi just close by also. This place is situated west of Nandagaon. During cow herding, Krishna played his flute on this hill, Pahadi, to assemble his hundreds and thousands of cows. By the tender and sweet sound of his flute, this hill melted and became marked with the impressions of Krishna's footprints, Charan-pahadi. Hence, this hill is called Charan-pahadi. On Kamsa's order, the great devotee Akrura came to Nandagaon to bring Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. When he saw Krishna's footprints on this hill and everywhere in the sand nearby, he became filled with ecstatic emotions and began crying and rolling around on them. To this day, devotees become ecstatic upon seeing Sri Krishna's footprints here. Srila Gurudev would love to take us to these Charan-paharis. He would walk with us in a very excited mood internally, a very sweet mood, and he'd with great joy and happiness show us these footprints and cowherd hoofprints of Krishna's sakas, and he would be so enthusiastic walking around looking at all these different footprints, and we could catch his mood and also become very elated to see these beautiful signs of Krishna's presence here just a short while ago, a few thousand years ago. Close by are posts for binding the cows. Near Charan-pahadi are Rohini Kund, Mohini Kund, and a number of posts in a field for binding cows. This is the site of Nanda-baba's cowshed. One can still see stone posts here. Brijbasi ladies worship these posts on special occasions. So this is all going somewhat north of Nandagaon. This is beyond Vrnda Kund. That's where Rohini Kund is situated in Nanda-baba's goshala. And close by is Vrnda Devi's Kund, and Gurudev describes this now. Some distance north of Charan-pahadi is the Kunj of Vrnda Devi. She resided here at the time of Sri Krishna's manifest pastimes, Prakat Leela. From here, she would arrange the meetings of Radha and Krishna in the kunjas of Sanket and other places. Sometimes she would consult Yogamaya Purnamasi and on her instruction arrange the meeting of the divine couple, Radha and Krishna, by employing ingenious trickery. Nandagaon ki jai, Nanda-baba ki jai, Yashoda Mayi ki jai, Krishna Baladev ki jai, Uddhava Kund ki jai, Uddhava Kyari ki jai, Rupa Goswami ki jai, Sanatan Goswami ki jai, Pavana-sarovara ki jai, Gold Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.